and welcome to the Rick House. My name is Cyrus Farmer. I'm your host. This is the Stomp the Tee podcast that you're listening to, the Stomp the Tee podcast that you're watching. Folks, we have a lot to get into tonight, so let me actually tell you exactly what we're going to be talking about so you have an idea of where this evening is going to take us. We'll be talking about the NBA draft lottery that occurred earlier this week. Obviously, there were some notable surprises that occurred. We'll also be talking about the NBA playoffs. I think they've been tremendous this year. We'll talk about where we've been, where we are, and where we are going as we drift towards the conference finals in both sides, the East and the West. We'll also be talking about my trip out to the Philadelphia Cricket Club to see the final round of the Truist Championship this past Sunday. Enjoyed my time out there, spoiler alert. We'll also talk a little bit about this week's PGA Championship being played down at Quail Hollow in the wonderful state of North Carolina. And of course, we'll also be talking about everyone's favorite segment. What are you drinking tonight? But first, before we get started, I do want to let all of you know that yes, we are in day 68 of the Wolf Watch with nothing new to report. I mean, we are bearing down towards Memorial Day, and we shall see if the over actually wins on whether or not my wife unboxes the Wolf gourmet convection oven that I bought her for her birthday, which was on February 21st of this year. So, we'll keep you posted. Now, the NBA draft lottery, folks, I have to tell you, Nico Harrison and the Dallas Mavericks, they got the break of all time by winning the first pick in this year's NBA draft. I mean, I have to tell you, it's very, very strange to me. I mean, they had very, very little chance to actually win the first pick. I think they had the fourth lowest odds in the draft lottery history, which tells you that other teams with worse odds have won before, but not many. It's kind of amazing to me. I hope that everyone, and I mean every single person, in that Dallas Mavericks front office went out and bought a lottery ticket, a real lottery ticket, right after winning the first pick. Because if the Dallas Mavericks can win the first pick in the draft this year, then anything can happen. Look, the fact that Dallas was incredibly lucky to win the first pick in the draft is really beside the point. I mean, you don't give the pick back. Whether you were lucky, whether you earned it, whether it was given to you, you don't give it back. So they have the number one pick, and I'm sure they are going to use it to draft Duke's Cooper Flag. Now, I have to say, folks, who knows what kind of player Cooper Flag is going to be when he gets to the NBA. I don't think he's going to be a bust. Now, I haven't seen a lot of Cooper Flag because I don't watch a lot of college basketball. But I will say what I have seen, it does look like he can play. I don't know how good he'll be, but I don't think he'll be a bust by anyone's definition of what a bust is. And Dallas, you know, they have just enough of a supporting cast that they can put around him with Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving at some point, some of their other younger players, that he should not feel the pressure to carry that entire team by himself, which I think is going to work very well to Cooper's benefit. That's really going to help him kind of ease into the NBA with a little less pressure of being the number one outlet. Now, he may end up being the number one option for scoring and others as he goes through his rookie season, but I don't think it's going to happen in game one. I don't think that's going to happen in month one. I think he'll get a chance to kind of ease into the NBA before he becomes the number one option on any team that he's on, which may happen sooner rather than later, but I don't think it's going to happen at the very start. Now, at worst, I think the Flag is going to be a good NBA player. I mean, again, I haven't seen a lot of Cooper Flag, but to me, he kind of reminds me of kind of like a light Jason Tatum. What I mean when I say a light Jason Tatum, I think he has a similar skill set, but he's not as developed as Jason Tatum is right now. Jason Tatum right now is probably like the seventh, eighth best player in the NBA. Obviously, I don't believe Cooper Flag is the seventh or eighth best player in the NBA today, but I think he could get there, possibly. More importantly, I think he does have a skill set that reminds me of what Jason Tatum brings to the table. I mean, he's a better passer than Tatum. Obviously, Cooper Flag is not as explosive going to the basket as Jason Tatum is, but Cooper Flag can get to the basket. He can get to the rim. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know who's a better shooter. It's hard for me to say, Jason Tatum or Cooper Flag. I do know that Jason Tatum takes and makes incredibly difficult shots, and I've yet to see whether or not Cooper Flag can do that consistently. So we shall see how that all goes. The question I think that comes to mind right now, with Dallas potentially dodging this cruise missile that had clearly been targeting them since the Luka Doncic trade. The question is, will Cooper Flag ever be as good as Luka Doncic? You know, I think that we don't know the answer to that question. But to me, it almost doesn't matter. I mean, we know that Luka has tremendous offensive ability. He is a wonderful player, and he's always going to fill up a stat sheet. Always. He just has too much talent not to. But the thing that bothers me about Luka is that, I don't know, I feel like there's something missing when it comes to winning. Now, I know this sounds crazy because this is a guy, Luka Doncic, who took the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals last year. Ended up losing to the Celtics, but he got them there. And he hit plenty of big shots along the way in various rounds of the playoffs. But I don't know. I mean, when I compare Luka to someone like Nikola Jokic, to Jalen Brunson, even to someone like Donovan Mitchell, who obviously lost in heroic fashion, in my mind, to the Indiana Pacers in his series. Those other guys, Jokic, Brunson, Mitchell, I mean, I get the sense that they're willing to do anything possible, anything that it takes to win not only a game, but a series or a championship. Now, obviously, the only one of those three who have won a championship is Jokic. But, and I'm not saying that I think Doncic doesn't care about winning. I think almost every athlete on a professional level cares about winning. Almost all of them. But not all of them are willing to do whatever it takes and to make the sacrifices involved in order to achieve winning. And that's what I see when I watch Jalen Brunson play. That's what I see when I watch Nikola Jokic play. That is what I see when I watch Donovan Mitchell play against that Indiana team. I have to be honest, I just don't see that when I watch Luka Doncic play. I mean, maybe I need to see an optometrist, but I don't see it. He's a wonderful player who's always going to score. I'm just not sure how great a player he is when it comes to willing his team to win. And again, I understand he was in the NBA Finals last season. I get that. I'm talking long term. Anyway, uh, let's see. As we talked about before, Cooper Flagg, if he is drafted by the Mavericks, which I'm sure he will be, has a nice supporting cast around him. He's going to get a chance to ease his way in. But all that being said, if you are the Dallas Mavericks, I do not see any way possible that you can trade that pick for any reason. You can't trade it for Giannis. You can't trade it for Victor Wembanyama. You can't trade it for Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. You can't. You can't trade the pick. You dodged the bullet here by trading away Luka Doncic, and that trade was incredibly unpopular with your fan base. And yet, because you won the NBA draft lottery, through no trade assets that you received from the Lakers, by the way, because you won the NBA draft lottery, you, Dallas Mavericks, have won the Luka Doncic trade, no matter how good Cooper Flagg is. Because even if Cooper Flagg is just a good NBA player, he's going to help you win games, in my opinion. Number one. Number two, you won't have had to pay $375 million for the privilege of that. For a player, Luka Doncic, that you were unsure about to begin with. So, strange as it sounds, Nico Harris, you should probably invest in, I don't know, whatever you're investing in. I want to know about it because I'll invest in it too, because you are really, really, really dancing through the raindrops, my man. Unbelievable. So there's Luka Doncic. Now, I'm sorry. There's the Cooper Flagg portion of the NBA draft. Now, I have to say, one of the other fascinating things that came out of this draft is, we just talked about it. Where is Giannis Antetokounmpo going to land? I mean, clearly he is going to be on the market, already is, with the Milwaukee Bucks. He will not be there next season. And, it's hard, I think, for the Bucks because this is the biggest trade they will have made since trading Kareem Abdul-Jabbar back in 1975, who won them a championship, just like Giannis won them a championship. It is very hard to get market value for a player like Giannis. I think when the Bucks traded Kareem, they ended up getting a player named Junior Bridgman and 3 or 4 other guys along with cash. I mean, does anyone think about Junior Bridgman when you think about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Of course not. No slight to Junior, by the way. He was a professional player, so let's give him his due. But he just wasn't Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So it'll be interesting to see what the Bucks can get for Giannis. I mean, I think almost any of the teams in the top 3 or 4, excluding Dallas, will have a chance to roll their draft pick, couple their draft pick along with a player or two and maybe future picks to get Giannis on their team and kind of leave Milwaukee with something they can build on. But there's going to be plenty of other marquee teams also in the hunt for Giannis who are willing to give up roster assets and future picks as well. I think the Knicks will probably be in there. I mean, who knows? Maybe Chicago, maybe a team like Memphis. Who knows? But the market for Giannis will be wide and deep. So I'm fascinated to find out where he's going to land because I think Giannis still has a ton in the tank. And he is going to, I think he's 30 right now. So he's got, in my opinion, a good 5-6 years before you see any real decline in his game. And I think he'll be rejuvenated wherever he lands. He just has to stay healthy, which generally speaking, he has, which is great. So that is the NBA draft lottery. Folks, I would be remiss if I didn't remind you at this point in the program to like, to subscribe, to tell all your friends, to tell all your neighbors, to tell all your enemies how much you love, 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 listening and watching the Stomp the Tee podcast. Folks, we are here for you. We do this week in, week out, as we often say from time to time, whether you like it or not, we're here for you, and you can count on us. And this is the kind of content you cannot get anywhere else online. So don't forget to tell everyone you know and spread the word about Stomp the Tee, the podcast. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the NBA playoffs, folks. Again, I have to tell you, I'm in love with the playoffs. It has been a great, in my opinion, postseason. As I said a week ago, if you don't like this year's postseason in the NBA, then maybe professional basketball is not for you, which is fine. Cleveland, Indiana. I do think Cleveland, I thought they did all they could to win the series. I mean, they practically had the lead in every game, essentially. They were just outmanned and outgunned. Indiana has too many scorers. They just do. And it's very, very difficult for Cleveland to keep up. I think if Cleveland had been at full strength, if they hadn't had the injuries, would they have won this game, the games that they lost? Would they have won the series possibly? Maybe. I mean, who knows? They did win the most number of games in the Eastern Conference this season. You figure if they're at full strength, they're going to find ways to close out some of those games, but who knows? Indiana may have just been too much for them. It may have just been a bad matchup. I think I heard a stat. There was something to the effect that Cleveland lost, I think, 10 games at home all year. Or I think they lost 10 games at home all year, right? And 5 of those 10 games were to the Indiana Pacers. So maybe it was just a bad matchup, whether they're at full strength or not. The Pacers just had the number, and Cleveland, no matter what they did, may have had trouble getting over the hump against this particular team. Now, I have to tell you, I was very, very, very impressed with Donovan Mitchell. Boy, I mean, his effort and his performance through injury, through limitations on roster availability, through underperformance of people that had been performing well throughout the season for Cleveland. In the face of all that, he was heroic in my mind. You could tell he was beat up. He took some really hard fouls in this series against Indiana. He was hurt, hobbled, and yet he continued to produce. I don't know if he averaged 40 points a game, but I know he had 40 points in at least 3 of the 5 games, 40 points or more. And he kept his team not only in it, he gave his team the lead, I think, in 3 of the 5 games, only to lose 2 of those 3 games. He was just elevated in my mind with his performance against Indiana this postseason. And I kind of liked what he said in the postgame after Indiana clinched. He said something to the effect of, winning's hard in this league, and you guys are going to write all kinds of stuff about us, but we will be back, and we're going to stay with it, which is what you want to hear out of a player who went through a tough loss physically and mentally. So kudos to Donovan Mitchell. Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't know what to tell you. You obviously have to get better. You have to be better. You probably should add a piece or two. Who knows? Maybe LeBron goes back to Cleveland for a third time. Who knows? Indiana, they're going to be a handful for anybody they play in the Eastern Conference Finals. That team believes they can score, they win. They are going to be a handful for whomever they end up playing. Which brings us to the next series, Knicks and Celtics. Now, folks, you have to love what you've seen out of the New York Knicks. This team has a chance to be very, very special if they can do what they're supposed to do. The Knicks have played their hearts out, and it's been very admirable to see the way they've approached these games and how they may have gotten down in games, but have never counted themselves out and have come back to win some of these games. It's just, they've been very, very impressive. And I'll be absolutely honest, they've been better than I thought they would be against Boston. I have never seen a Knicks team with Jalen Brunson at the helm, nothing against Jalen Brunson, beat teams that were better, quote unquote, than them on paper. I haven't seen this Knicks team upset many teams that were deemed better than them. And they are on the cusp of doing that this series against Boston. That being said, don't fool around. Do not fool around with Game 6. Knicks, you want to put Boston away. It doesn't matter that you're home in Madison Square Garden, all right? What you don't want is to go back to Boston to try to win a Game 7. With or without Jason Tatum, you don't want any part of that Game 7. Can the Knicks win a Game 7 on the road in Boston? Absolutely. They won Game 1 on the road against Boston. But you don't want to play around. You don't want to take that chance. Put that to the side. The fact that you can win is immaterial. You don't even want to get there if you're the Knicks. Put this team away. Turn the page. Get ready for Indiana. And don't give Boston any more life than you've given them already. So if you're the Knicks, put these guys away. I'm telling you, you do not want to fool around with Game 6. Don't come out lackadaisical. Don't come out nervous. Come out looking to close the team and the series out, because you do not want to go back to Boston for Game 7. And I think obviously everyone knows that. So this is not breaking news. It's weird, people talk all the time about how the NBA is a make or miss league, right? If Boston hits just a few more of their shots in almost every game of this series, they probably win the series going away. It's probably not even close. And I personally don't think that Joe Mazzulla has coached a bad series per se, right? I think he's just been stubborn. There's one thing to say, well, this is how we play. We play how we play, and we're not going to change how we play because this is how we play. I get it. That's fine. But if how you play isn't working, i.e., the threes aren't falling, you keep taking and missing a ton of three-point shots, you have 4, 5, maybe 6 guys on that roster who can easily get to the rim. Why not take the ball to the hole, put the pressure on the New York Knicks defense to stay in front of you without fouling, and then you open up those threes again, and they might start to fall. Either way, you have a better chance of scoring, taking it to the hole, than you would on a bad shooting night from three-point land. So that's what I don't understand what Missoula's done. I mean, why wouldn't you just put the pressure on the defense and start driving whenever you can, early and often? The three-point shot is never going anywhere. You can always go back and take threes, right? But why are you taking threes when you're not shooting them well? I do have to say, Game 4, to me, was the best game of the series before Tatum went down. It was the best game. It was the only game of the series where both teams played well. Now, I didn't see much of last night's game, Game 5. But I did like Game 4 quite a bit. It was kind of nice. So I give the Knicks a ton of credit. They may have had something to do with Boston missing so many three-point shots in this series. Now, the postseason, that's obviously different from the regular season. So what you do in the regular season isn't always translatable to the postseason. But you are talking about the defending NBA champions in the Boston Celtics. So I think some of that goes out the window. It's not like they can't feel nerves. It's not like they can't miss shots. But, they've earned the right to play however they want to play because they're defending world champs of the NBA. So we'll see. Knicks, don't play around. Get Game 6. By the way, I did want to mention briefly Jason Tatum going down. It was really tough to watch. I felt really bad for him, and I'm a Knicks fan, right? But I don't need to see Jason Tatum tear his Achilles. He looked like he was in so much pain. I mean, like literally, I have no idea what it must be like to suffer an injury like that in a game, a postseason game, no less, where you're already tired, you're already beat up, you're already hobbled, and then the Achilles ruptures. I mean, I can't imagine what it was like. I just know he looked like he was in an awful lot of pain. But that being said, and I would never question anyone's pain threshold. Look, something hurts me. It may not bother you, but it hurts me, and that's all that matters, right? So there's no comparison to make, in my opinion, when it comes to how pain affects you personally. Pain is a personal issue. But I will say this to all of you Kobe doubters out there. Kobe suffered a grade 3, apparently, Achilles rupture. It means it snapped in two when he was 34 years old against I think it was against the Golden State Warriors. Very end of the season. Lakers are trying to make a push to make the playoffs, and Kobe tears his Achilles. Everyone knows this story. Kobe obviously not only blocks out the pain, limps to the line, makes 2 free throws to keep the Lakers in front, but then he walks off the court under his own power. Didn't get any help until he got to the tunnel, out of that arena's eyesight. Now, again, this is not a knock on Jason Tatum at all, because what he went through in Game 4 with his Achilles rupture must have been unimaginable, the level of pain. But it does show you that Mamba mentality, that's not just a catchphrase that Kobe made up. Mamba mentality is something that he lived. And the Achilles tear is proof of that. So, just thought I would leave all of you with that. some of the Kobe doubters. My brother Orrin, yes, I called you out. Congratulations. Chief among them. All right, so let's move on. Timberwolves and the Warriors. Now, folks, the Warriors, I think, were destined to lose this series. I mean, I think the Timberwolves are just a better team. I picked the Timberwolves to win this series even before Steph got hurt. Now, would Steph have made a difference? I think absolutely, without question. I think the games might have been closer. The series might have gone on longer, but I think at the end of the day, the Timberwolves would have still won that series, whether it was in 5 games, 6 games, or 7 games. I think they're just a better team right now than the Warriors are. Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, I mean, they're having great, great series. Gobert, I mean, they're really, really playing well, and I can't wait to see them in the Western Conference Finals. Going back to the Warriors briefly, I do have to say, I personally am giving Jimmy Butler a pass on his performance in the playoffs in this semifinal round. I mean, I think it's clear, I'm not a doctor, but I think it's clear that Jimmy Butler was still hurt from the fall he took against the Rockets in the first round. I don't think he ever fully recovered from that. I think he was gutting through a lot of physical issues, and yet he still continued to play. A fully healthy Jimmy Butler is much more aggressive offensively. Doesn't miss some of the layups that he missed time and time again in the last couple of games against Minnesota, and is probably much more not only efficient but effective against that Timberwolf defense. So I give Jimmy Butler a pass. I know people are talking about why didn't he take more shots? Why? How could he miss so many layups? Those things happen because he was not 100%. I think he probably played in an incredible discomfort. So I give him a ton of credit for that. Now, I think the Western Conference Finals are going to be awesome. The final semifinal series, Oklahoma City and Denver. Can't really say a whole lot about that series because it's going to Game 7. I will do my very best to watch every minute of that game. It's also during the final round of the PGA Championship, so we're going to have to make choices, pick and choose, da-da-da. But that Game 7 should be tremendous. Jokic, Murray, Aaron Gordon, those guys are not going anywhere, and I think that Oklahoma City is going to beat them anyway. Either way, it's going to be a terrific game, in my opinion. Most of this series has, even though I haven't had a chance to watch a lot of it. They've been close games. They've been hard-fought games. They've been highly contested games in this series. And I think it's probably only fitting that OKC and Denver go to a Game 7 to decide who goes to the Western Conference Finals to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. So there is your NBA playoff discussion for tonight. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the Truist Championship. I told you guys last week that I was heading out to Philadelphia Cricket Club to watch the Sunday round, Mother's Day of all days, the Sunday round of the Truist Championship. And I have to tell you, I really, really enjoyed it. The main reason I went was to see the course. I'd never seen Philly cricket before. And I have to tell you, there's a ton of elevation there, elevation changes. There's almost no water to speak of. The water that's there is largely decorative, doesn't come into play onto a lot of holes. And there are a ton of elevated greens. It is just the kind of course, if you remember, Philadelphia Cricket, I think, has 2.5 courses. They have two 18 holes. The Wissahickon course, which is where the Truist Championship was played. They have a course called Militia Hill, which is right there also. And then they have a 9-hole course, probably like 10 minutes away. And I think if you're a member at Philly Cricket, it's going to take you a while to get bored of those three options because they're just really, really good, fun, playable courses with just enough challenge to be challenging. Philadelphia Cricket Club reminded me a little bit of Lakeside, which is a club out in Burbank. It's right across the street from Warner Brothers Studios. And there is not a lick of water on that course, yet it's still very challenging without being super tight. Philadelphia Cricket, the Wissahickon course, it reminded me of Lakeside, but Lakeside didn't have the elevation changes that Wissahickon course does. So I really enjoyed being there. I really enjoyed seeing the course. It was awesome. And of course, the players, they're fun to watch as well. It was weird. There's a one weird thing that happened. You know, the merchandise tent at the Truist Championship, something I've never heard of before. It sold out during the Saturday round. When you showed up on Sunday, the merchandise tent was closed. Literally, it was not even open because it had sold out the day before. There was nothing left to sell. I'm sure it's happened before, but I know for a fact, I've never heard of a merchandise tent selling out of merchandise before the end of the tournament. It was very strange. It was strange. It was very strange. Telling shows you the level of enthusiasm, but still very strange to me. I mean, who sells out of merchandise for a 4-day event in 3 days? It was just weird. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the PGA Championship. This week, I have a pick, and my pick was, and still is, Justin Thomas. Justin shot 2 over in today's opening round. We're recording this Thursday night. It will air on Friday. But Justin shot a 2 over in round 1, and he's currently tied for 73rd. I happen to believe that Quail Hollow, which is the course that the PGA Championship is being played on this year, is really going to separate the best players from the current leaders. I think the current lead right now is Jonathan Vegas, I think, is 7 under. I don't believe that group of players currently leading first, second, and third position. I think most of them will fall back. I think Quail Hollow kind of exposes players in a way that it makes it difficult if you're not a top player to remain in the lead. And I think that's going to happen this year's PGA Championship. I think it'll be interesting to find out if Xander can kind of get back on track this week. He's defending PGA champion, but even if he doesn't win, you'd like to see him, get a top 5, definitely top 10 at the worst, just to see if he can kind of get his season started. I know he had an injury as well, but he's kind of he hasn't fired yet, like Rory has, obviously winning 3 times, like Scotty did a couple of weeks ago out in Texas, winning by 30 under. 32 under, whatever the score was out there. So you want to see if Xander can kind of get his game back on track and actually show up for the rest of the season. I personally don't think that we'll know where Rory is. I think Rory he's 3 over after the first round. But I don't think we'll know where Rory is game-wise until the middle of the Saturday round 3. Rory can score with anyone. He's killed this course over the course of his career. I expect him to shoot a low number tomorrow being Friday, round 2. And there's a chance he'll follow that up with something low on Saturday as well. Rory, I don't believe, has to shoot 62, 64, 63 to get back in the tournament. But he does need to shoot something like 66, 65 a couple of days in a row to get back in the tournament, in my opinion. So we'll see if he can do that. Still to be determined. I have no idea what's going on with Colin Morikawa right now. His game is just, I don't know. It's just, look, I can never trust Morikawa as a putter, even though he's made a few big putts in his career. More often than not, he is not a great putter. But when he starts missing iron shots and wedges, it makes me wonder what's going on. I know he changed his caddy recently, but maybe he's distracted. Maybe he's got some things going on at home. Who knows? I have no idea. This is literally not me speculating. This is me admitting that I have no idea what's going on with him. Strangely enough, is I complain about not knowing where Morikawa is. He's still ranked, I think, top 10. He's like, I think he's what, number 4 golfer in the world rankings. I'm still waiting for him to break through again and to win another tournament. So we'll see if he can put something together this week. I think he's at 1 under after the first round. This would go a long way for Morikawa if he could find a way to win the PGA Championship, to get his second, I believe. I think he won his first at Harding Park out in San Francisco. I'm not sure, and this is just me personally, I'm not sure that Jordan Spieth will ever complete the career Grand Slam. I mean, it's hard. He hasn't played good golf consistently in a while. And I just don't see him necessarily not only winning this tournament this week, but winning a PGA tournament, PGA Championship, anytime in the near future. And the older he gets, the harder it's going to get. Obviously, ask Rory McIlroy. I think the difference with Rory is he was still finding ways to win PGA events, even while he was struggling to win the one tournament, the Masters, in order for him to complete the career Grand Slam. I haven't seen that out of Jordan Spieth. I mean, when's the last time Jordan Spieth won a tournament? I don't know. Maybe he won last year. I don't think he did. Maybe he won 2 years ago. I don't think he did. I just have not seen him play good golf consistently, which I think makes it hard for you to complete the career Grand Slam when you only have one shot at it every year. So we'll see. I'd be interested to see about Bryson DeChambeau. Is he going to be the only live golfer that contends in this event this week? We'll see what Patrick Reed does. I assume Sergio's playing. I'm not sure. I don't know what the lineup is. But we'll see. DeChambeau, for whatever reason, has played well the last couple of years in majors. And as far as I'm concerned, he is supplanted Brooks Koepka as kind of like the competitive face of live golf. And I'll be interested to see if any of his compadres join him in contending this week, because I believe Bryson's going to be there all week. Whether he wins or not is yet to be determined, but I think he's going to be in the hunt. And I'll be interested to see if anyone else at Live is able to join him in that effort. Now, folks, we are at my favorite point in the show, where I get to ask you a question. And that question is, what are you drinking tonight? Well, folks, I can tell you what I'm drinking. And that is Old Bardstown Bourbon. Folks, this is a sour mash. I'm going to tell you all about it and give you some info, and then I'll tell you what I think. It is distilled, aged, and bottled by Willett Distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky. It's an old-time sour mash. The bourbon comes in at 50.5% ABV, which is 101 proof. I got this bottle for $35. The mash bill is 72% corn, 13% rye, and 15% malted barley. Folks, I don't know if I've had sour mash in the past or not, but because that is what this bottle literally says on the label, sour mash, right? Those of you watching on YouTube, sour mash. I have to tell you, I like it. It is sweet without being syrupy. It has good bite, but not nearly the bite that you have in some of the higher proof bourbons and whiskeys that I normally drink. It has good solid flavor. You know what this reminds me of in a good way? It's kind of like a less flavorful version. It's kind of a savory version of one of my go-tos, one of my everydays, Elijah Craig. Folks, at 30, if you can get this for $30 a bottle, $35 a bottle, it is completely worth adding to your bar. Yeah, I mean, you can drink it straight, you can drink it on the rocks, you can drink it with a splash of water. It's fine, no matter how you have it. This you wouldn't have to throw into a highball because I like it actually on its own, but you could, and it would taste just fine. So, Old Bardstown, straight Kentucky bourbon. Give it a shot, folks. This is available pretty much any and everywhere. It's not that hard to find. So, do yourself a favor, do a drive-by on that. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. You're not going to be bowled over, but you're going to say, $35? Okay, it's not so bad. Okay, I can drink it. I'll have another glass of that. So, that is our show for tonight. Folks, I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. My name is Cyrus Farmer. This is Stomp the Tee. And we always appreciate you joining us. We do this for you. And as always, we will see you on the first tee.